Spartan fans, we're here with head coach Simon Tobin, the head coach of the San Jose State men's soccer program. Coach, how are you doing this morning, and what are your impressions of the season so far?
We have a pretty nice team. We lost last night to Sacramento State in a little bit of a heartbreak game. We beat Bakersfield on the road, and we fared quite well in exhibition games. So we know we're right there. We're comfortable playing anybody straight up in the country. But last night we had a couple of players missing, and I think if we're at full strength, we should be thereabouts, especially when it comes to WAC conference play and being able to challenge to win the conference title. That's the aim, as always.
What positives did you take away from the loss last night? The team was down 2 goals and then came back with 2 second half goals. What does that say about this club?
No, I'm sure you'd like me to say we're resilient and we never say die and we come back and all those cliches when a team comes back from coming down. And some of that is true. I think we quite believe in our own ability that no matter what the score, we tend to dominate most games with the ball. I feel that we still can be a little bit more threatening in the last third, and also we kind of have a couple of mental mistakes where we let another team in. I think, that they will feel that they kind of stole a victory last night. I think I was going back to what you said. I was really happy with the comeback and coming back to, we're down 2-0 in the second half and we still keep playing and still know that we can come back to 2-2. I'd say the only time that I felt last night, and I said this to the team, that we were the second best team was for the 10 minutes after we tied it up at 2-2. So that's kind of just that mental aspect. I think for most of the rest of the game that they were chasing us and trying to get the ball. But I thought they dominated those 10 minutes after we equalised and got 2-2, which is quite strange.
The team came back and scored the 2 goals in the second half. The first match of the season, also goals later in the second half. Is it too early to call this team a second half team? And if they are, do you like that? Or would you maybe prefer them to be faster at the start?
Yeah, if I had my preference, I'd like a first half and second half team. That would be my preference. but no, you're right. So the first 2 games are, and even I think we were down when we played Cal in the exhibition and came back and tied it up. So if something becomes a pattern, then obviously you have to start to have a look at it and how we begin games. I think you might be right. It might be a little bit early to see that. I, as I said before, I think we'll always be in a game in the second half, no matter what the score, because we are quite comfortable with our ability and knowing that we can, in many phases of the game, we can dominate quite a lot of teams. So we feel quite good about that. But I think it's the same as any sport. It becomes a little bit. You don't want it to get in the habit where you're always having to make up a deficit, no matter how good you think you are. It's you don't give someone a goal start or a 2-goal start when you could be better at maybe sealing things up early on. So, yeah, certainly it's something that we might have to address, and especially if it becomes a pattern.
Speaking of the goal scoring on San Jose State's end, Omar Lemus and Willie Miranda, those have been the 2 goal scorers in the first 2 matches. What are your impressions of their play during the first 2 matches, and then maybe even into the preseason?
Yeah, I think both have. They've come back, obviously, because of COVID, like most athletes or a lot of athletes, senior athletes over the country. They've got that opportunity to play another year because of COVID. So, Willie graduated and is a master's student and a 4.0 student who always was going to do postgraduate work anyway. So on the academic side, he's got everything together, and I feel he came here as a transfer out of Hartnell Community College, and this is his third year. He had a bad injury his first year here when I thought he could be one of the most dominating players on the West Coast, and he's just, after all this time, kind of approaching where he was when he came. And it is, and I've had a lot of good goal scorers that I've coached over my career, but Willie is one of the most natural goal scorers you'll see. He's not blisteringly quick. He's he's not big or strong, although he plays above his size, but he has a natural knack for scoring goals. And Omar, on the other side, the last couple of years he's played has been started to score goals, and he comes from a deeper position in midfield, but he has a little bit of pace and strength, and he certainly makes the most of those attributes. And those two have been two kind of local kids, Northern Cal kids that are still coming good for us.
Is there any concern that there might start to be an over-reliance on just those two, since they've been the only two to score? I know Finlay Wood, he's gotten off 7 shots, but no goals yet for him. Is Wood just kind of knocking on the door, and he's about to break through, you think, as well, so that it's not just those two guys?
I think, obviously, in the spring, we had a brilliant spring, and we had Rudy Castro, who I feel was one of the best forwards in the country. And we are hoping that he will be able to join us in the near future. And if Rudy's back, he takes a big share of that scoring load. It's good for Willie and Omar. And again, it's early days. And as you see, looking at the stats, Finley's got in and around the box a few times. Jamal Adam is still improving as a number 9, as a forward. So I think until Rudy comes back, I feel that the load will be shared, but especially Willie. Willie will always be there. I gave him a challenge to put in a goal every game this year, which would be getting quite high in the country if he was able to do that. But he's responded, and as I said, he's a natural goal scorer. But you're right, it would be nice for a few other players to start chipping in. But we've scored 4 goals in 2 games, which in soccer terms isn't too bad. We're doing okay that end of the field. We have to make sure we're just taking care of business a little bit more defensively.
We're here with head coach Simon Tobin for San Jose State men's soccer. And coach, you mentioned the spring 2021 season, which was a great season for your club. It was not conventional, though, because generally soccer is a fall sport, which we're back to now. It's early, but health-wise, how do you feel about the team, and are there any added concerns regarding injuries? Because that offseason was shorter and a little unconventional due to the pandemic.
Yeah, it was unconventional, and certainly being in Santa Clara County compared to, where Air Force or Utah, although they didn't have a season in the fall, they played and practiced. And even in our spring season, we had to cancel the first 2 games. So it was difficult. And anytime you've got that time, a long time away, you're at the risk of breaking down and maybe incurring some injuries. And certainly before last night's game, we had two players that I think are tantamount to our success and very important, and they were missing last night. So, but that's the game, no matter whether I'm football, basketball, you have to try and design a squad where if something happens like that you're ready to play. And we feel quite good with the squad, but yeah, injuries, the best years I've ever had, I've been blessed with very, very little injuries. It's just, again, in all sports, it's sometimes a little bit of luck, but I think you put your finger on it there that this year, more than any other, because of a long time away from the game and a long time between us interacting with our student athletes, makes it a little bit tougher. It really does, just on that mental aspect and that physical aspect.
Last night was the home opener for San Jose State, and that meant the return of fans. How big is it to have the supporters at the Spartan soccer complex? And how does that feel after a season where they were pretty much absent?
Well, I think I'm good friends with the Sacramento State coaching staff and known them a long time. And Mike Lindenberger, the head coach, came up to me after the game. He said, "Oh, it was a great game. You know, you probably deserved a little bit more than what you got." And he said, "But what an incredible atmosphere with the crowd. The crowd were really into it last night. And, you know, you've got, I don't know, it's just, it makes a huge difference. And I've noticed, I think a lot of the spectators have come and enjoy the way that we play. I think it's, we try and make sure that we're an attractive team to watch. Last night there was a lot of goals. The last time we were on the home field with when we played Cal, there were 4 goals, and then some more goals in that kind of extra overtime. So I think we're entertaining. But just the presence and for Mike to notice that the crowd were a huge factor last night. They were into it, and it makes it an incredible and very enjoyable student-athlete atmosphere. I think with the coming of the new building that's there for football and soccer that will be there, and I think we're going to have permanent bleachers and a press box in place in February. I think everything is being done there to make this one of the best homes of college soccer for men's and women's soccer in the future.
Looking ahead now, San Jose State returns to the pitch on Sunday against UC Davis. We'll end on this question. What do you expect to see from the Aggies? Because their 2020 season was wiped out. 2019, though, they were an NCAA qualifier, an NCAA tournament team. And now in 2021, they've started the season at 0-3. So they're 0-3, they're winless right now, but they took Washington to overtime. Washington's a ranked team. How dangerous potentially are the Aggies coming into San Jose?
Well, you're right. They played a top 10 team. UWB a top 10 team and are a top 10 team this year. And UC Davis made the NCAAs that last year they played. And talking to Dwayne and the assistant coaches there, they feel their team is even better this year. Now, obviously, the loss at Washington's not a big thing. They were overtime. That was fantastic. I watched the game yesterday against Gonzaga. And similar a little bit to the way we played Sacramento. They dominated even more so against Gonzaga for most of the game, and they got caught on a breakaway. But I expect, just like the preseason poll, if you have a look at it, I think Santa Barbara and Davis are tipped to win the Big West and go to the NCAAs. And I don't expect anything different. There'll be a great team coming here Sunday, and as long as we don't dwell on last night's match too much, I think UC Davis will be one of the top opponents that we play this year, and I think it's going to be an incredible game. It'll be a good game, and it will really give us a good idea of where we are. If we can come away with a good result, I think it bodes well for what we have to do in the WAC. But don't be deceived by their record right now. They're one of the front runners for the Big West this year, and he has a very, very good team.
Well, head coach Simon Tobin, we thank you for your time, and we wish you the best of luck on Sunday against UC Davis. Fans, the Spartans take the pitch again Sunday at 3 p.m. Come on out to Spartan Soccer Complex, and if you can't make it, you can catch all of the action on the WAC Digital Network. Head coach Simon Tobin, thanks again, and best of luck on Sunday.
Thank you very much.